So, my mum used to be a flight attendant back in the 70s and 80s. You know, back when you could smoke on airplanes and stuff like that. She told me one day she was flying from London to New York and she was working the first-class cabin. As people were getting on the airplane, she was doing the usual greeting. "Hello, how are you? I hope you enjoy your flight." And she told me that the largest man she had ever seen in her life was stepping on to the plane. And he had this huge red beard that went halfway down his chest and these large bushy eyebrows. But the really unique thing is he was wearing a kilt. And my mum said, "Hi, I hope you enjoy your flight." And he leaned down towards her and he said, "To be honest, I'm a wee bit nervous. It's my first time flying over an ocean, but I'm also a little bit excited. I've never flown first class before, and I'm very excited to see what goes on up here." And so my mum smiled, gave him a little wink, and said, "I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy the service we give in first class." He went and sat down. The rest of the plane boarded, they took off, and finally, the lights for the seat belts and smoking went off. And my mum got up and prepared the drink cart. She began handing out drinks to the first-class passengers, and eventually, she got to the Scottish guy. And she saw sitting next to the Scottish guy was a really old man with a very severe, stern face, and he was wearing a black suit. And when she got close, she saw that in front of him, on his tray, was a massive black book, and on the cover, in large golden words, was written, "The Book of Mormon." My mom looked at the Scottish guy, and she said, "Can I get you something to drink?" And he said, I would like a double whiskey. You know, something to help take the edge off." So my mom smiled, poured the double whiskey, and sat it down on the tray before him. And then, feeling a little mischievous, she looked at the older man next to him and said, "How about you, sir? Would you like something to take the edge off?" Very seriously, he looked at her and said a little bit loudly, "I would rather be raped by a filthy than ever let liquor touch my lips." The entire cabin went silent. My mom said you could hear a pin drop. She glanced at the Scottish guy and his eyes were wide. He was obviously very shocked. He looked down at his whiskey, picked it up, and slowly started handing it back to my mother. And he said, "I didn't know that was an option up here. I'll have what he's having." A poor Irish family lives on a farm, and they rely on their single cow for income. One morning, the father walks outside to find their cow dead. "There is nothing that could help get us out of poverty now," says the dad, as he shoots himself. The mum walks outside and sees the dad and the cow on the ground. "I can't live without my husband," she says, as she shoots herself with her husband's gun. The daughter walks outside and sees her mother, father, and cow dead. "I can't live any longer without my family," she says, as she jumps into the river and kills herself. The oldest son, 23 years old, walks outside looking for the family and sees them all dead. "Is there any way to bring them back?" he yells at the sky. Poof! A female leprechaun appears. "I will bring your whole family back to life. Even the cow," she says, "if you can fuck me 5 times in a row. If not, I get to kill you." The boy fucks her 3 times in a row, and he dies. The middle son, 19 years old, comes out and sees the leprechaun. She gives him the same offer as his brother. "I will bring your whole family back to life. Even the cow," she says, "if you can fuck me 5 times in a row. If not, I get to kill you." The son agrees to do it, but can only do it 4 times. He dies. The youngest son, 15 years old, comes out and is given the same offer. "I will bring your whole family back to life. Even the cow," she says, "if you can fuck me 5 times in a row. If not, I get to kill you." The son says, "What if I fuck you 10 times in a row?" The leprechaun thinks. She says, "I will bring back your family and give you my pot of gold." The son says, "What if I fuck you 20 times in a row?" She thinks again and says, "I will bring back your family, give you my pot of gold, and give you a mansion." The son thinks and says, "What if I fuck you 30 times in a row?" She thinks and says, "I will bring back your family and make you the richest man in Ireland." The son says, "Wait, how do I know you will survive it?" "What do you mean?" says the leprechaun. "The cow didn't." So I have this friend, Bobby, And one day, Bobby's wife comes home early from work and finds Bobby in bed with a very attractive woman. Naturally, she's extremely upset. She screams, "You pig! You disgusting, disrespectful pig!" She bursts into tears. "How dare you do this to me? I'm a faithful wife, the mother of your children. I'm leaving you. I want a divorce. Right now." Bobby jumps out of bed completely naked and says, "Well, hang on just a minute. At least let me tell you what happened." She's sobbing. She says, "Go ahead, but they'll be the last words you'll say to me." So Bobby begins. He says, "Well, I was getting into the car to drive home, and this young lady here asked me for a lift. She looked so down and out and defenseless that I took pity on her and let her into the car. I noticed that she was really thin, not well dressed, and very dirty, and she told me that she hadn't eaten in 3 days. In my compassion, I brought her home, and I warmed up the enchiladas that I made for you last night. You know, the ones you wouldn't eat because you're afraid you'll put on weight. Well, the poor thing, she devoured them in moments. Since she needed to get cleaned up, I suggested she use our shower, and while she was doing that, I looked at her clothes and I noticed they were all dirty and full of holes. So I threw them away, and since she needed new clothes, I gave her those designer jeans that you got a few years ago. You know, the ones you don't wear anymore because you say they're too tight. I also gave her the underwear that was your anniversary present, which you don't wear because, well, you say I don't have good taste. And I also found that sexy blouse in the back of the closet. You know, the one my sister gave you last Christmas that you don't wear just to annoy her. And I also donated those boots you bought at that really expensive boutique that you don't wear because someone at work has the exact same pair." Bobby could see that his wife was about to storm out of the room, so he took a quick breath and continued. "She was so grateful for my understanding and my help that, as I walked her to the door, she turned to me with these tears in her eyes and she looked up and said, 'Do you have anything else that your wife doesn't use?'" By all rights, old Jebediah was an extremely successful man. He had a big company, a couple houses, a boat, but he was never successful in love. By the time he reached 60 years old, he was on his 5th wife. And because his wives never stuck around for long, he was never able to have any children. So whenever old Jebediah was feeling down and out, he would call up his 2 favorite nephews and take them fishing. His 2 favorite nephews were Lispy Larry and Dumbass Dave. Larry got his nickname because he spoke with a lisp. Dave got his nickname because, well, he was a dumbass. So one day, old Jebediah called up his nephews and took them fishing. They'd been out on the lake for about 30 minutes when old Jebediah said, "Well, boys, I think my wife is cheating on me with the plumber." "Well, why you think that, Uncle Jeb?" said Lispy Larry. "Well, the other day, I came home and I found a wrench under my bed." "I'm so sorry to hear that," said Lispy Larry, and they sat there quiet for another 10 minutes. And then Lispy Larry said, "Well, I think my wife is cheating on me with the electrician." "Why you think that, Larry?" "Oh well, I came home the other day and I found wire cutters under my bed." "So sorry, son," said old Jebediah. They're quiet for about 30 minutes, and then Dumbass Dave said, "Oh heck, I think my wife is cheating on me with a racehorse." "Well, why do you think that, Dave?" "Sometimes I come home and there's a jockey under my bed." My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.